Hello, hello, hello. Did that work? I'm going to just say it. Hopefully it did. Hopefully you'll be seeing me live. Please do not swear. I'm Ewan and I am doing a series of weekly live streams every single Sunday with a couple of exceptions, which I'll talk about in a minute. Good to see you. Just let me know where you are watching from. And indeed, if you're watching live or on the replay, just drop a hashtag live down below or a hashtag replay down below, because I know that 10 a.m. isn't for everyone, not just in the UK but across the world. I know I've got a lot of audiences that are based in the US who'll still be asleep, who'll be thinking, why is he going live so early in the morning? But that's the reason why, is because it's good for me. It is early in the morning and it is a Sunday. So for those of you who are wanting a bit of a lazy one in bed or wanting to just relax and enjoy what I've got on offer, every Sunday I'm going to be having a really chilled, maybe half an hour, maybe up to 45 minutes live stream every single Sunday at 10 a.m. And I'll be sharing with you some bits and pieces, including some music, some improvisation, some current thoughts, some news articles, and these sorts of things. And as the weeks go on, I'm hoping that it will grow and develop over time. So if you want to drop a comment down below, I will feature them on screen. I am using a mobile powered rig today, which I can talk to you more about at the moment. Let me know if you can see and hear me. Let me know if the sound is coming through nice and clear. Let me know if I'm looking nice and crisp and sharp. So as I say, there'll probably be about 15 to 30-second delay with any comments that come through, so do let me know. So the idea of Sunday Sound sessions is just predominantly to catch up with you all and to really sort of touch base, because a lot's been going on the last couple of years, certainly for all of us. And you'll notice there'll be a few little changes. So my plan is to start to create content, but of course, because my week is so erratic, everything can change quite quickly. And of course, I've taken on other projects and other things that have taken up time. So not necessarily has it been possible for me to create consistently every week a video that I can then upload to YouTube. So I thought I would just do a weekly live stream for a short time, just to kind of catch up, touch base, and to let you know how you are getting on. So basically, you are all welcome to jump in and get involved. So I just thought I would just say hi. And I see I've got the very first comment already. So well done. Hello, Mr. Filber Official. Good to see you. You are watching live from Lancashire. Good to see you. And thank you very much for jumping on board. And I am very pleased that you are with me and you're watching on the YouTube live. So I am actually also streaming on my Facebook page, euansmithmusic. And there you will be able to drop single word comments that I'll give you throughout this and future live streams. It might be worth saying actually that next Sunday I will not be live streaming, then I will be live streaming this coming Friday. And the reason being is because my family have hospital appointments that are very early in the morning on Sunday, and I will not be in the physical location to actually get on board and stream. So I think it's probably worth as well. Let's just start first of all with this check-in. Can you hear this? I'm just going to check actually. What's the stream quality like? Because I know that I am kind of competing with others in the house, and it's always good for me to know if things are working well. I've also got additional new angles too, so I'm hoping that you will be able to see. In fact, let me just quickly just check. I've got this here as well, which I have. I'm actually screen capturing rather than mirroring my Mac, but I just thought I would see what the quality was like. So this is probably the heavy. I've got something like 9 or 10 angles I've got going on today, and so I'm really throttling the amount of angles that I've got. I've actually acquired some new camera angles recently as well, so I'm going to be utilizing them in my streams. So I've actually got a front-facing one here, and I've got one on my left-hand side. I've got one you've just seen, the top-down one. I've also got a right-hand side view and a left-hand side view. So what I might do is, as I am doing a little improvisation, I might just see how it goes with kind of changing between them. So I think that would be quite nice, I think. So we could easily just do that. And yeah, we'll see how we go. And yeah, let's have a little noodle for about a couple of minutes, and then I'll touch base because I've got some music-y news I want to share with you that I think you'll be quite interested in. So I'm going to probably spend a couple of minutes playing, and then I'll be back with you in a momento. So it almost sounds like it's quite ethereal. Sounds like. I'm so glad that you can hear it. Thank you very much, West. I think I know who you are as well, so that's grand. West, I will call myself West. Good to hear you. Good to see you. And yeah, so the angles seem fine and the audio is clear. Awesome. I'm so glad to hear that, Philber. I'm so glad to hear that. Okay, good. So let's come back to me then. So I had read recently a couple of things, and I'm sure I wanted to share these with you. In fact, what I can do is you can drop down in the comments what you think about this, because I'd just seen a couple of articles and I wanted to share these with you because obviously I know it's quite sort of UK based, but there's been quite a lot of change going on at the moment, and because simply the news of music has been so fast and so fast paced. Here's one that I thought was quite interesting because I know a number of you are involved in making instruments and repairing instruments. This could be quite a good opportunity for those who want to add in extra feathers to your bow, because apparently the making of stringed instruments, so guitars, cello, bass, all these sorts of things, violins, violas, and everything in between, apparently it's becoming an endangered craft. So ultimately, this could be an interesting opportunity for anyone who's interested in learning how to make instruments, or indeed wants to learn how to make instruments and then teach other people how to make instruments. The idea is, apparently, according to the New York School of Music Instrument Crafts, apparently the number of degree courses in Lutherer work is diminishing. The only one that's left is actually closing. So basically, campaigners are trying to advocate to try and keep it going, which is kind of insane. So I thought that was quite an interesting thing to highlight, because there's already a petition, which, I won't drop any links or anything, but if you want to go on to The Guardian, then you'll be able to find the story there. And basically, it is the only degree course is set to close. So, of course, over the last 20 odd years, the music education landscape, which of course this includes all aspects of industry, so it could be from music instrument making to music teaching to all sorts. All these courses are suddenly going. In fact, I think there's only a handful left, even in some parts of England as well. So, the 4 courses being suspended, and let me just get that back up here, are violin, I think I saw, guitar, piano, because they involve strings as well, and woodwind specialists. So it's a bit like all these dying crafts. It's very important that we can try and keep these going. And so if you're someone who's interested in making instruments, or indeed wants to learn how to make instruments, it's never too late to start. And actually, I do know of people locally to me who are making instruments and who are using their retirement to fund instruments, tools that they can make and curve wood to then shape bodies of instruments so they can then string them up. So I just thought that was worth highlighting as a first thing. And the second new article I wanted to highlight was this one. I'll just get rid of this and I'll just increase the size a bit. So music education, everyone knows that certainly in some parts of the UK, the music education landscape is definitely at risk. And no clearer has that been with the amount of, how would I say, interference, redirection, rescoping of music education. The talent pipeline is quite interesting. So it says here in the Music Radar, without investment in music education, our talent pipeline is at risk of dying up, along with huge opportunities for economic growth that it brings. UK Music draws up 5-point plan to turbocharge music education. So this idea of growth as well has been quite interesting, because, growth has been seen as like the benchmark of the government, and they've been able to sort of say, they've been able to sort of talk about kind of crazy things such as, it's all about growth, it's all about growth, it's all about growth. But actually, you've seen loads of companies lay off loads of staff, and that's obviously indicative of, say, music instrument making and repair. You've seen organizations lay off staff, authorities laying off staff, because either they don't have the money, or the money is being utilized elsewhere, or it's just not a priority. And it tends to be the latter. It's just not a priority. So it's really important that, music is seen and is represented in all aspects, not just within school, from anything from music's importance as a tool for science. So how to visualize what a wave looks like in physics, you know, in terms of measuring what that looks like, why tones are made, how they're made, frequencies, all these sorts of things. So looking at even the basics of music making and how that's important. So Filber said there was a small shop in Bala making and repairing violins. We might end up with a situation where we have master sort of the comments being chopped off, but in terms of you might end up with people who are specifically making instruments but are few and far between. So therefore you become almost like a specialist in your field. Let me see if I can get the full comment for that, because I think that's a bit of a shame if I can't read out the full comment. So I'm just going to a second screen here as well, so we can just do that too. Let's find lights. But you have to go into the app, I reckon. So yeah, no, I find it really interesting how this sort of stuff has been quite interesting, because you know these skills are, you know, few and far between, and if you're not getting what you need, then you know there tends to be a situation where you can kind of specialize elsewhere. So let's see if Filber can get you full. Here we are. So there was a small shop in Bala making, repairing violins. We might end up with a situation where we have a master apprentice rather than courses. I think you're right. And of course, with master apprentices come the fees. And the more specialist you are in your field, the more expensive you are and the more you can charge. So this is going to be quite an interesting one. So in terms of the 5 points for music education then, the plan was to recruit, and this has been backed by various others, such as Ed Sheeran and such. But if you were to recruit 1,000 extra music teachers, you know, those include supporting the development of new rehearsal spaces in deprived areas and facilitating upgrades to existing spaces. Also, we've talked about there's been a heavy duty amount of cuts which have happened since the previous government. And that's been a bit of a struggle, because ultimately what's happening is the pathway to access has never been more open, has never been more available, but people feel that they don't have quite the ability or the skill to be able to create, to pick up an instrument and play it. But actually, ultimately, all you got to do is just pick it up and have a go and have a blast through. And if it's interesting for you, there are always tutorials, there are always things available, including on my own site, euansmithmusic. You might be interested in knowing and learning that I've got a range of different tutorials, and you'll certainly be quite interested in learning about those. So do check those out. And if you were to, on the Facebook page, if you were to DM the word learn, I will then be able to send you details of that, and you will not be able to you'll not leave the live stream. You'll keep within the live stream. So you won't duck out, if that makes sense, but you will be sent information about the kind of courses which I offer, which range from everything from how to use digital audio workstations to Ableton Move to all sorts. So you can definitely check those out, and it would definitely be worth your time, I would say. Definitely worth your time checking that over. So yeah, those are available on my website. So lovely. So we just got to go back to this feature actually, because it'd be worth just sharing this with you. So 1,000 extra music teachers and supporting new rehearsal spaces. Now, in some parts of England, there are some spaces that are being funded, but unfortunately, because of lack of skill, expertise, or will, or risk-taking, some authorities are not putting the time and money into spending time with community groups to then redevelop these spaces, which is a real shame. And so when you see the kind of money that's put into big, high-ticket, you know, green flag projects, and they're quite expensive projects, you know, you could easily see how that money could be used for grassroots so much more. With so many grassroots venues closing, I think it's been really, really important to try and build that on. So here we've got a statement by Tom Keel. Tom Keel, I believe, let me just backtrack a bit. The CEO of UK Music has said, you know, music education is the bedrock of our world-leading music industry. As well as producing some of the most talented and pioneering music creators on the planet, the sector supports 216,000 jobs in the UK and contributes 7.6 billion to our economy. And UK Music has long recognised the importance of access and opportunity to music education. And UK Music has set up the Music Academy academic partnership to strengthen relationships between students, academia, and industry. Again, those are available and searchable, but it needs investment. And so ultimately, that is what they need to be able to do. Now, I'm trying to see if I can read more because I want to find out what those 5 pillars are. But ultimately, getting more people in, challenging the English Baccalaureate, the way it's squeezed music out. And it was always a prediction that this would happen way back in 2010. So 15 years of decimation has been quite clear. The way in which there's a lot of gig economy, music makers and music teachers have now risen through. Some of them supported really well, some of them not quite so supported well. So it's quite interesting to see how the landscape has changed because of political decisions and how that's impacted on education and such like as well. So it's important then that we also have creative arts course grants available so that people can access the courses that are available, and then to try and put music back at the heart of the curriculum. So those, I think, are the 5 things that he was talking about there. So you can find out more about those. And that was another one I just thought was quite interesting. So warnings that music education investment is vastly needed. In the last news article I wanted to share with you was a timely reminder that investing in local music just isn't good sense. It just isn't good sense. Isn't just good sense. It is a way to boost pride in places and breathe new life into our high streets. You think about every high street that you walk down, especially in my area where, vape shops, barbers, and, betting shops and stuff that really kind of feed off the worries and the fears and the anxieties of a society. Those are the kind of shops that seem to have thrived and survived, especially since lockdown, which apparently you're never allowed to mention these days. But, I'm going to mention it because ultimately we're 5 years out of it and there's still trauma it's almost like a ripple. It's almost like a tsunami ripple that's happened. The ripples are still being still feeling right across society. So people have lost their jobs and such like. And of course, we'll touch on this, but of course, artificial intelligence is part of those fears. But actually, as I'll talk about quite a lot, the aspect of that isn't to be feared. And actually, I'll talk about ways in which you can harness it and use tools to be able to help you. So basically, investing in music will help breathe pride in places. Now, I am speaking from someone who benefited and still sees the benefits of a city who completely funded and supported music education and had it at a grassroots level, provided venues for those ensembles to rehearse, practice, gig 3 times a year in a big civic venue, use that to raise funding to then offset costs for that tuition. So I was very fortunate to have very low cost, very easy access. And actually, by the time I was a teenager, that access was free because it was agreed that as long as you did a course, as long as you studied it, as long as you did it from 14 plus, those instrument lessons would be free and still continues to this day to be free as long as you joined your school ensembles and your city ensembles and you gig 3 times a year. So that was the agreement. You got them free as long as you turned up and showed up and played and practiced and did what you could do. And those events were, when I think about it, insane, as in amazing. But that was my life. And we had city-wide competitions that you would get involved in. You didn't have to travel too far. Bus travel was subsidized. Now, of course, where I'm from, they can subsidize the Scot card, the youth Scot card, which is basically allowing you to access free and very, very heavily subsidized services now. So it's Scotland wide, and I think it's absolutely amazing. So I've got a few more comments coming in. That's a very good question, actually, there, West. The 1,000 extra music teachers in secondary education. It doesn't say in that article, but I would assumed it would be, because when I trained, it was certainly the case where it was seen as a shortage subject. And, money was thrown at those you must train, we need you. But actually, when the crux came to it, those jobs are few and far between in the places where I wanted to go. Or if they were few and far between, they were heavily competitive because so many of the institutions were doing these kind of teacher training courses and it wasn't possible. But, I've really enjoyed the work that I've had in schools and through the freelance route and through the work of online, which is why I really feel that to bring more to more people, to help people, This is where I feel like joining online has been really, really important. It could just be music education in general, to be honest. It might not just be secondary schools. It could just be not just the fact that they've decimated in higher education as well. And this is UK wide. This isn't just me talking about schools. But for those schools who recognize that there is a cultural importance to this, it's not just as it's been described to me by those who lack imagination. It's been described to me as the fun part of culture. That is completely ridiculous. And so therefore they do not see that the benefits of a child who really does live for music, who has got quite a challenging background, home life, could even be school life, to just to have that escape, that moment, just to find and create and to make something for themselves, to share with others, is a really empowering thing. And I see it day in, day out. And I know through working with alternative education provision, you can see the joy. You can see the passion that happens. And so it's really important. So yeah, those are the 3 aspects that I thought I would share with you. And I thought I would get kind of interesting kind of feedback and comments. So if you are watching this live, do keep those comments coming in and I will feature them on screen. And if you're watching on the replay, do let me know what your thoughts are, because I think it's really important that we get a shared sense of perspective and ideas and such like. So yeah, let me know what the video's looking like. I don't know if I'm getting a few drop frames or anything, but I'm not getting any errors my side. But we'll go back to another tune, I think, and a little improvisation. Let me know how the piano's sounding, because it is a Steinway with a bit of reverb. Just let me know if it's too much reverb or whatever. I'm always keen to know. As I say, this is the Sunday sound session, so it's all about the sounds. And we'll be back with you in a second. You ever notice how music scores are using fewer and fewer notes these days, and how they're relying quite a lot on synths? And Classic FM and other similar channels, radio stations, are kind of full of folk that are using not just fewer and fewer notes, but this kind of this pattern seems to be coming out quite a lot as well. And so I actually kind of created this idea where to use as few notes as possible. That breaks every harmonic roll. Yeah, so I see a lot of that happening at the moment, which is kind of hilarious. So the idea is that there's quite a lot of music which is used, which is that it's quite simplistic. But actually, to be honest, most folk are so time pressured now that they have to create something quick, and so therefore it does become, unless you have got the skill to be able to hear multiple parts. And again, this is partly where music education has suffered. I mean, I hear of those who were doing distance learning courses like Trinity and other similar institutions who were able to listen to a 5-part harmony and then transcribe it. I mean, those are the kind of skills that you would see in composers such as John Williams, who can then hear an orchestration, play it on the piano, and then score it. And that is a thing which I think sets. So you look in comparing, contrasting modern composers with those who perhaps have grown up with in the 70s and 80s, you see the approaches. You see how that music language has, and there are always people who are able to, and don't get me wrong, there are some exquisite performers and composers still out there, but if they're trying to break through, and they're trying to be fresh and sound different, then ultimately it's going to come down to the idea of sounding different, and that can be quite hard in what is perceived to be quite a busy societal thing. You know, the idea everyone's doing it, but actually no one's doing it. Not enough people are doing it, and that's the thing people are afraid to do in case they get things wrong. And I've had this fear over the last 2 years, which is partly why I've not been posting. What will people think of me? Real imposter syndrome, you know, real issues of but then people will find me out as an imposter, and I only got up to grade 7 piano, blah 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 blah. And at the end of the day, it was grade 7 piano, and I never stopped playing. As opposed to someone that got to grade, I don't know, it's not even about grades, but even if someone who was playing for maybe 2 or 3 years and then stopped because they lost interest and never touched the instrument again, which is a bit of a shame. But even if I lose interest and then come back to it, I'm always coming back to the music making. So it is important, I think. So, but this made me laugh a little bit. This so just by using a few notes. Yeah, let's get into the right key, shall we? Yeah, see, you know the idea I'm talking about? I mean, I've got a series on my YouTube channel called Make Music Like, and it's quite interesting because, you know, it shows you my interpretation of how to make music like. And it's important to be able to do that, to listen to other people's music and to see how they do things or how they don't do things, and then use that as inspiration. So, but I have noticed just by listening to these kind of more relaxing stations that, you know, and in terms of this work, it's kind of wild, you know, to have this, you know, music is about relaxation and such like. So I'm getting a sense of some frame drops, but do let me know because it could just be my side. But I hope the sound is going well. And yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Phil. You've hit the nail on the head. You know, the Einaudi, that kind of like repetitive, almost and you can make up any tune that has a similar type of pattern in any key, you know. The other thing is, I was making similar sounding music when I was 14, 15, because it had that Scottish edge. Of course, it doesn't have to be piano as well. I've got, in time, I will show you some amazing sounding sound libraries, which I will use and utilize in these future streams. So I am pretty thrilled with how these sound. But of course, it's not just about the sounds, but do you have the skill? And of course, everyone has the skill. Everyone can just play with one finger. Everyone can just play, you know, and everyone can come up with a tune, even with one finger. It doesn't have to be right. And then just like mucking about, and anyone can come up with any random tune off the top of their head. And I think that's important to remember. So yeah, I think it's really, really good and powerful that you've got that chance. And I think the idea of imposter syndrome really just, you shouldn't sort of worry too much about these things. Just go for it. And absolutely 100% go for it. I'm getting a sense that the the stream is starting to lag, and I don't know why, because it's such a shame. Because I've done streams before, and it seems to be okay. It could be the time of the day, could be the heat, could be the fact that I've got other people competing with me, but most of these angles are wired. So before I go, I just want to just talk briefly about the setup you can see here, because it's probably going to be easier if I don't move around too much, and I'll just do a voiceover just so it doesn't look too distracting. So you can see in the picture that on the top left of the screen, I use a Rodecaster Pro 2. Now, I used to have a Yamaha mixer, which I sold maybe about a couple of years ago, and I replaced it with this one. And the reason being is because I used to have a Focusrite audio interface as well. And the Focusrite audio interface and the mixer were basically the Rodecaster, but in two different devices. So when getting the Rodecaster, I decided to separate the two. Amalgamate the two into one and have more space on my desk, which has worked out quite nicely. You'll also see in the middle that I've got an Ableton Move. Ableton Move is something which I have been toying with. I'm going to be doing, hopefully, in the next week or two. Probably in the second Sunday sound session. Not this week, not this Friday, because I'm going to be going live on Friday instead of Sunday at 10 a.m. But a week on Sunday, I will be toying with the Ableton Move and trying to get through, hopefully trying to get them both to talk to one another, because apparently they can link with each other. And I want to try and get that, something like that going as well. So that's going to be quite good. And what else? Yes, so above there, I have got on my right hand of the picture, I have got here my iPad, which controls everything. Now, ironically today, it seems to be a little bit slow, but they're not normally as slow as this. As in terms of we've got a good internet speed, so I don't know if there's something going on there. But that's fine. We are live, so it's okay. And I'm hoping that everything will work quite nicely too. I've not taken a recording of this live stream, so I'm not going to be able to generate a high quality version of it. I've just decided to stream and see how that goes. And in the middle of the picture, you've got there the keyboard that I've used. I've got a little light going across it. The angle might need to just sharpen up a little bit. It does seem a little bit squint, but I will sort that for next time. And of course, I've got the cameras, which I've got dotted around. I've got my phone that I've just been using just to check the stream and just to check the comments, and that's been quite nice. And yeah, so I'm pretty chuffed with that. So thank you so much. I'm very, very indebted to you for being part of today's Sunday Sound Sessions. This will be something that I will do every single week at 10 a.m. This coming week, it'll be this Friday, so you've only got another 5 days to wait for the next one. And my plan for that is, because I have actually planned these out, my plan for that one is to do something like GarageBand Jam, maybe something like that. And in the following week, I want to do something like maybe Ableton Move, just having a little toy with Ableton Move. And they'll follow a similar kind of flow, and they'll all be quite good. And I wanted to say thank you so much for your interactions as well. I was very, very pleased. And what we'll do is I'll have a little look at the stream quality for next time, which is normally not a problem. But for today, I think it has really chugged toward the end, but that's fine. It's okay. It's alive in it. As long as I'm sounding okay, as long as the piano's sounding okay, you get the idea. So hopefully something that I've mentioned has got you thinking. Hopefully some of the news articles has got you thinking about some ideas there. Do comment below with any other ideas that you might have, how things could improve. And also in terms of music making, I'm going to be sharing more music making bits and pieces through the next live stream as well, and hopefully give you some inspiration too. So I want to say thank you very much for joining me today. Do join me next week for the next sound sessions. And thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you've enjoyed this live, drop a thumb to like it. That lets everyone else know that you like it and it's something that they should get involved with. And also, if you haven't already, do subscribe to this channel and also follow me on the Facebook page. And make sure that you get those bell notifications on so that you get notified when I'm next going live. See you soon. See you Friday. Thanks very much for watching. Ciao.